At one point, he was asked about Trey Flowers, and he said something like, "We'll see."
Oh, that's. Well, wait. There's something there. Let's break that down. We'll see.
And he can do whatever he wants.
Sounds promising.
He can do whatever he wants. I'm not.
But really, I mean, really.
Do you want to play the "we'll see"? I
mean, if that's the response.
Maybe it's better than that.
So you've got you just went out and you signed a free the organization signed a free agent defensive end in Trey Flowers. He's very productive last year. We know he can be good. What do you anticipate from him coming up this season?
Trey is a great guy. Very, very focused on what he does. Every day, comes in the building, and pleasure to be around. So we'll see. We'll see as we work our way, through OTAs and we get into preseason camp.
It's every bit as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Well, we weren't going to
spend kind of a lot of money on him, huh?
right. Listen, I could be a great guy to be around. You want to pay me half that money. Yeah. And when the we'll see part, you'll see I'm not nearly as talented as Trey Flowers.
Pretty, rather bland.
I would have expected a little more, like, we're excited what he can do. This guy comes off the edge. He gets to the quarterback.
You don't want to create too high of an expectation.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're only paying the guy $13 million a year or whatever it is. You're right. We don't want to do that.
No, I'd hate to
because there's no expectations that come with his high salary. Nobody ever does that.
Gator, we'll see.
Excellent point.
Yeah. What a great Kuiper draft analysis. Right.
Trevor Lawrence is looks like he's actually going to be able to petition the NFL and come out after his sophomore year and enter the NFL draft. Mel, what do you think? Guys, he's great in a room. We'll see. So, Mel, based on what you saw with Clemson in the 2 years he was there and winning back-to-back national championships, do you think that's going to do well for him, preparing him for the National Football League? Could go either way. We'll see.
Look, Pasqualoni, he can say whatever he wants, right?
I guess. Look, it's OTAs, and you're not seeing much.
Yeah.
So the we'll see is we don't. Well, he's got to have an idea. I wish we would have given a little inkling.
I'm not even sure he's going to start with that.
Right with that. I don't know. We'll see.
He's in the rotation.
First, he's got to make the roster. If he makes the team, then he's got to be active on game day.
And then we'll see.
How do we'll see that response? How did that play well in your house growing up with your parents?
Like, what if my kids try and gets away with it?
When you ask, like, if your kids, I remember you as a child, you would say, "Hey, can we go to Chuck E. Cheese for dinner?" We'll see. How did we'll see play out? Did we'll see? Because usually it was one of two things. Obviously, it's either yes or no. But if one parent said it, it always meant one thing. Like, they never wavered. We'll see. Usually meant with us,
Yep. We'll see was like the worst answer as a kid.
Yeah.
And I say it a lot now as a parent. It's basically, here's what I'm doing. I am stalling, and I hope you forget that you asked the question.
Because the answer is no, but I'm not going to crush your dreams right now.
Exactly, yeah. I don't want a temper tantrum right here in Target, so we'll see.
It's like the procrastination of answers. Right?
Totally.
It's just like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll wait and see what happens.
So that's why we signed Trey Flowers. But here's Darrell Bevell, okay? His offensive philosophy. Tell me if this sounds like what most teams in the NFL are doing today.
Number one is protecting the football. It's all going to be all about the ball. We have to make sure that that we protect it. It's the number one factor in winning and losing football games. So that's a huge part of us. We'll always be about running the football. We want to be tough, hard-nosed, physical football team. We want to be able to exert our will on our opponents, and then we want to be able to be explosive in the passing game. When we throw the ball, we want to be able to throw it down the field, get big plays. Between big plays and not turn it over, then you got a really good chance of being able to win.
There's some cliches there, if that's what you're asking.
Well, it's basically, it sounds like if we take him for his word, we're going to run, This feels like 1978 is calling, and we're going to give the ball to Franco 35 times, right? And I'm okay with it. He adds in, and we're going to throw deep.
Rather than give it to Earl Campbell, he had a better year.
Fair enough. Give it to Walter. I don't care who
Walter
you're going to. They all of the. This is a run first, throw deep philosophy.
Yeah.
So the question is, do you buy into this? Do you subscribe to this? Because of a lot of the league has replaced the running game with the short passing game. Teams like, well, here he's asked why he thinks this philosophy will work. Here's what he says.
If you're playing the Rams and the Chiefs and those teams week in and week out, they're defending the same thing. And all of a sudden you play us, you have, there's going to be different things to defend, and they have to decide how they want to do it. They're going to have to personnel it different. So it's, I think it, kind of gives you a little bit of a niche that way.
This is going to sound like an insult, and it's not intended to be, but it sounds like we're going to go against the grain by going backwards. We're going to go against the grain by doing things that people used to do. We're going to go against the grain by being different than everybody else, by being different than the Chiefs and the Rams, as he said. Now, there's other offenses that obviously are going to be run-oriented, but, I mean, he's really selling the idea we're going to run and run first. Are you okay with this?
I'm fine with it. I'm okay with moving away from the offense that had potential to throw for 5,000 yards in a season. Mm-hmm. I think they need to kind of reinvent what they've got. I think you're also because running the football takes time off the clock. You're hopefully taking some of the pressure off of your defense, which is a strength on this team. I think they've got personnel that can help this out. The big question mark is, do they have the right offensive line to impose their will? Now, offensive linemen,
it's kind of a hard sell,
love to run block. Yep. They would rather run block than pass block every single time. And is that personnel strong enough and good enough where that's going to be the case, where they can impose their will? Does that mean, okay, if you're going to do that, if you're going to be expending all that energy, does that mean that maybe there's going to be more substitutions coming in? You may have a rotation of linemen, particularly at right guard. I don't know. I don't know what that means, because you look at on a defensive standpoint, when you've got a defensive line likes to get after the quarterback, it seems like they have rotations and guys come in and out. Offensive line usually stays the same. But if your mantra is to run the football and kind of be up-tempo with that, I think that you're going to have to bring in some extra offensive alignment from time to time just to give it a little spell.
Gator, I have interviewed a lot of coordinators in this career, right? Mm-hmm. A lot, and there were two quotes that offensive coordinators have given, and I've heard before, that it sounds like Darrell Bevell is hearkening back to this era. And these two quotes are ones, I remember interviewing one live and playing the soundbite. And when I interviewed one live and he said this, the phone lines were packed and people bitched for weeks. And this was back in another radio life. I was interviewing Mike DeBoer, who was Michigan's offensive coordinator, and on his way to leading the offense to a national championship, right? Mm-hmm. And during that season, I'm interviewing him, and Michigan was known for their defense and what was considered a conservative offense. And he said, punt's not a bad play.
Oh, nobody likes to hear that.
When your offensive coordinator says punt is not a bad play, but then, and I remember fans freaked out. They're like, what are we talking about here? Punt is a bad play. Nobody wants to punt. But then I remember other offensive coordinators using a similar variation of that fans didn't like. And again, it sounds like Bevell would subscribe to this. Any possession that ends in a kick is a good possession. Because what are we not doing? We're not turning it over.
Well, that's true.
And that even a punt is not a bad possession because you didn't turn it over. And look, there's data out there, and I have to see updated numbers, but the data would suggest when you're defending an 80-yard field, and I remember at the time, because I went back and looked at it, so this is literally 20 years old.
Yeah.
But it was 1 out of every 30 drives that starts at the 20 or inside ends in a touchdown. That's evolved. I'm sure it's changed. But
probably not too much.
Probably not too much. Even if it's, let's say, 1 out of every 20, I'll take those odds. And coordinators love to say, okay, we didn't turn it over. We punted. We pinned them inside the 20. That's what matters at the very least.
Well, winning the battle of field position is huge. And when you say, the punt is a good play, Ohio State used that against Michigan State. That's how they beat Michigan State this past season, because the punt was a good play. They kept pinning Michigan State deep in their own territory and took advantage of it with their great defense. Well, defense at the time anyway. In that game, they were great. The Lions have a pretty good defense, so punt may not be a bad play. I think this is going to be a ball control team, and I will take him at his word. I think they are going to run the football, and I think there is going to be emphasis on hanging on to that football. And if they hang on to that football and don't turn it over, good things should happen, because the other side of the ball, they went out and they got some guys in this team they think can be playmakers to get them that offense of the ball again.
All right, you heard what Darrell Bevell had to say about his offensive philosophy. Do you approve? 248-539-9797.